Hey guys, my name is RyanCentral and welcome to HitScan. Remember at the start of episode 2 where we had some pretty big rank changes with how the whole system's worked out? You've seen some of the images on screen that might spark your memory. It seems that we're getting something similar for episode 3, or more specifically, a new way to play a competitive experience, which we'll go over in this video. It was talked about in Ask Valorant, and it seems that we're getting some pretty beefy changes, maybe not specifically to ranked, but to playing competitively in Valorant. I'll explain later, basically. But also, real quick, if you want this player card, you need to go to redeem.playvalorant.com to get it. The code is on screen. The website might be a bit screwed up. You have 48 hours to get it, but I would imagine that time would be extended considering people have been running into so many problems. So if you want this, basically go and follow the description and all that jazz. You'll get there. But I want to go straight into this play Valorant, and I want to talk about the rank changes that are coming in. We also talk about performance, which we'll touch on in a second. Again, timestamps if you want to get to the good point, but also like and subscribe for thanking me for not wasting your time, because I don't want to do that, and I honestly want to save my voice at this point. Let's talk about 5 stacks. That's the question that comes in, and this is an answer from John Walker. We've heard the feedback and we agree that Valorant is at its best when it's played in a group. We have 2 ways of thinking about this space. The first question is, how can we enable 5 stacks with a wide range of skill to compete in ranked? And the second question is, how can we create a high stakes competitive experience for teams? The first question is what they talk about first, obviously. And when thinking about the first question, we have significant concerns regarding splitting the queues. Basically, if they have solo queue, duo queue, or a flex queue like they do in League of Legends, that's basically what they're talking about. We don't believe splitting a queue or doing a flex queue is the best solution for Valorant. We fear that one ranked queue would become the real ranked queue and the other queue would become less prestigious, which is true. You talk to any pro or any high immortal Radiant player, they will want a solo queue. They don't want people to have the advantage of playing in groups when they have to solo queue and be stuck on teams with, CIS players that can't use a microphone because of legal reasons and all that jazz, So basically, if you want to prove your skill, you need to do it via solo queue, and anything else, you just get boosted by somebody else, right? So that's the argument there. In a lot of ranks, it doesn't really matter, but, you'll see a lot of pros or good players kind of complain about that on a regular basis. So yeah, that's not going to happen at all from the looks of it. The other concern on that is match fairness. By having one ranked queue, we have a bigger pool of players, lowering queue times, and enabling stricter matchmaking. So while designing for this issue, we want to make sure whatever solution we go with maintains competitive integrity. This is the good answer. If you're not sort of filled in yet, this is where it gets good. For the second question, which is how can we create a high stakes competitive experience for teams, we are excited to announce, oh hey, Hiko posted a video with ranked feedback. Yeah, I'll go watch this. Sorry, I'll tell you more at the beginning of episode 3, as it's a little early to talk about what we are doing to solve that issue. We kind of know what this is. This is basically the clash system from League of Legends. We did a video quite a while back discussing this. I was talking to Anders, who is a coach for Virtuoso in North America, and also a content creator, and played a lot of League as well. And it's effectively a 5v5 tournament system where you can play on certain weekends, I think it is, with certain prizes that you can get. But it basically means that you will play a tournament system within your own ranked. So if you're like a group of plat friends, like I have, for example, I can still play with them, and I would play up against other plat players. I wouldn't stack up against Radiants and stuff. It's not an open qualifier like anything like that. So this is something that we've known about to an extent because it was data mined before. And it's actually super cool to see that some kind of system, whether it's something as deep as the clash system in League of Legends, probably remains to be seen. But it's quite likely that some form of 5-stack tournament kind of system will come into play, which I'm super excited about. For those that know me, I played Overwatch way back when, and I feel like one of the biggest pitfalls for Overwatch was moving away from playing as a 6-stack and kind of forcing people, certainly at higher ranks yet again, to play in duo or solo queue. I think when you're Immortal or Radiant, that makes a lot more sense to restrict people from just 5-stacking and boosting each other, because that's kind of what it is. But Valorant is at its best when it's played with a full team. I think everybody would argue that, and that's what the dev said. So some form of clash system, it might be super bare bones, it might be incredibly broken when it comes in at episode 3, but it looks like that is what we're going to be getting at the start of episode 3, alongside a new agent. As we know, we had a video discussing that and the fact that it's going to be an agent with some pretty cool abilities. By the way, remember that their name is Grenadier, the code name at least, so I would imagine it's going to be an agent that has a grenade launcher that can fire out grenades, obviously, maybe Molotovs, kind of like Brimstone's Molly, and also smokes. I think it's going to be an agent with very straightforward kit for the CSGO lineup nerds. Average Jonas should have a field day with that, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, that all came from John Walker. Big answer, I think, overall, and something that I think is going to do wonders for Valorant. Having a big change like this coming this early, to be honest. Whether it's good out of the gate, I'm honestly not too sure, but I still think that it's going to be a lot of fun and definitely worth a tryout. The other question has to do with performance, and this comes in from Brian Fisher, who is a performance engineer. And the question basically boils down to what you're doing about performance. My FPS is unstable, and a lot of people would say that Viper is kind of a problem for that. Viper on Split especially can nuke frames per second on a PC for whatever reason. I'm not going to read all of this. You can check out it in the article if you want, because it's not as exciting as the other thing, to be honest, and I don't want to waste too much time. But I do want to highlight the bold bits. Currently, we are focused on improving the CPU performance. This can be done by either improving baseline performance, which results in average higher FPS, or by removing hitches, which will reduce how much FPS drop there is when there's more expensive workload. We've identified issues with Viper and Astra and will be working on optimization to their abilities over the next few patches. We will be doing a pass on performance for all agent abilities over the coming months. The overall goal is to increase the lowest FPS you see regardless of what is going on in a match. We are also working on Valorant's ability to make use of multi-threading to better leverage modern CPUs. This was something that somebody raised in the watch parties, by the way. Thanks for watching if you tuned into any of those from Masters 2. Where, yeah, multi-threading is something that I think is in the game when it comes to performance. It was added pretty early on, but it seems that there can be more done in that direction to improve performance. And it seems that that's exactly what the devs are going to be doing. But before we move on, there's one final thing. If there's one thing to take away with you, it's this. Whether you're on the latest hardware or Valorant's minimum spec, we want all of you to be able to focus on playing the game and not fighting performance. And yeah, I think performance in Valorant has been okay for the most part, but there is certain situations, certain maps, like I mentioned, that can have more problems than others. And I would feel that Breeze could be put under a lot of pressure as well, considering how massive the map is. I imagine that could really hurt performance if a lot of stuff's going on, say in the open part of mid in Breeze, for example, but that's just me speculating. Final point on this, it's not a big one. Why can't you kill the crabs on Breeze? This comes from BMart, who is a crab-fearing American. The crabs on Breeze have been living and breeding near some radionite fallout and likely developed fortified exoskeletons. We advise against any crab battles unless you're prepared to lose an eye. Within the next few years, they're probably going to take over the island, but he's no crab expert. This was a pretty good Ask Valorant, you know, a good mix of this is stuff that we're working on, this is a new, whole new game mode and way of playing ranked coming in, a bit of a joke as well. So yeah, that's everything to go over the Ask Valorant. Now I want to talk a little bit about the trailer that we saw with Duality. I say trailer, it's a cinematic that came out during Masters, so you might have missed it. It's in the description again if you want to check it. And it was actually really interesting to see a cinematic that didn't lead on to anything in particular. All of the trailers that we've seen so far, I mean, we've only seen two. The first one was for Ascent when that first came out in episode 1, and then episode 2, it was of course to do with Yoru, his addition at the start of this year. I imagine we'll still get a cinematic for episode 3. I don't think it's going to be this one, but I could be completely wrong. I mean, I can't remember, is it Formation, the name of episode 2? Ignition was episode 1 because of the Ignition series and stuff like that. I don't know if episode 3 would be called Duality because that was the name of this trailer. But it was really interesting to see it based around lore, something that has been often looked over in Valorant, so that was nice to see, just a cinematic based on the storyline and what everything is meant to be. Of course, if you don't really understand it, there's two universes going on, like mirrored universes, and it seems that one of which, the attacking side, are the universe that doesn't have any radionite left. They've really used up all of that resource, and so they're basically attacking a mirrored universe of themselves to steal their radionite. That's what the Spike is doing on each of the sites. Those big blue boxes is full of radionite, and the Spike is basically there to take it all into the attacker's universe, and the defenders are there, of course, to stop it. So it was interesting to hear a bit of explanation on why we see mirrored agents like the 2 Phoenixes, different forms of Jet it seems as well. And yeah, I really enjoyed it overall. I didn't want to make a video as soon as it came out because there wasn't anything super leading there. And with the Ask Valorant, I kind of wanted to put all of this together. But it was really awesome. I genuinely enjoyed every second of watching it. But it wasn't like a hero tease or anything like that. It was just a bit of lore, a bit of story. And I would imagine we'd get another cinematic for episode 3, potentially teasing the new agent that would be coming then. Because we are definitely getting a new agent, as we discussed with the Grenadier person. Finally, Masters 2 has concluded. Sentinels won it all without dropping a map. Kind of as expected, they are on a whole different level. Fnatic played them close. It was 2 overtimes and a 13-11. And Fnatic I wouldn't even consider, at least up until now, the best team in Europe. You know, we haven't seen them have the same level of dominance as Sentinels has had, certainly over the past 5 or 6 months, since First Strike, basically. And even then, I think Sentinels didn't perform that well because of extenuating circumstances and all that jazz, and 100 Thieves were better on the day, it feels like. So yeah, I think that it was a really good tournament. It was an absolute pleasure to watch party it. I don't know if we'll do it again. A 1, 2, 3 moment, if you want to put this in the comments and answer this question. Did you watch the watch parties at all? Were you not interested? Looking at YouTube stats, it seemed that the stream passed by a lot of people. It was put in front of a lot of people on YouTube, but ultimately people chose not to watch it, maybe because they wanted to watch the mainstream or Plat Chat or Average Jonas or whoever else was doing the streams. And so, you know, being brutally honest, if it passed in front of you and you didn't watch it, let me know. If you guys aren't interested in that, I won't do it on this channel from now on. You can probably check it on my Twitch channel. But I did want to sort of end by saying, if you want to know the circuit points, champions, all that stuff, Sentinels have 100% booked their position to play the Worlds event at the end of the year. If you're curious on how all of that works, there will be another video on my own personal YouTube channel talking about the points, how it's divvied up, and how it's looking going into Stage 3, and of course, Masters 3 Berlin. It was also super cool to be on the analyst desk for Day 6, a bit of a last minute thing as I think Veli had to catch a flight, so I covered for him. That was a lot of fun to actually be able to do that kind of thing. Prove to myself as well that I could be on a desk like that and provide value. And yeah, I'm hoping to be on the actual desk or casting Masters 3 in Berlin. That would be super cool. Yeah, thanks for the support all week. It's been knackering to do like a full weeks of streams. It's been a super hot and high pressure week, I suppose, when it comes to weather as well, which has been a little bit tough. But I'll leave it there. You've probably switched off by now because you wanted the news on a new rank system. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.